Welcome to Thursday, June 16th, 2022's meeting of the Hingham Historic Districts Commission. This meeting is called to order as of 6:33. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting is being recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with MGL C30A so that the chair may inform all of the participants of said recording. We have 6 items on the agenda. I see Daniel's here. Carol, as you just saw, is not going to join us this evening as she is sick. So the voting members would be Dan, Marianne, Justin, Catherine, and myself. Are there any conflicts of interest with any of the projects on tonight's agenda?
No conflict here.
None here.
Catherine, you good? You're muted.
None.
I see Amanda Cease is on the meeting.
Oh, yes.
I don't know, so that would be one that I would not participate in.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll have 4 members for that one. Okay. So first item on the agenda is 18 West Street. We've talked about this project twice before. We've done a site visit. I want to be clear. The applicant has withdrawn their previous application for a certificate of appropriateness. And we have a new application for a certificate of hardship. I think Andrea and the applicant have been communicating since our last meeting. I think Andrea is going to give us some additional information.
Okay, hi Thea, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Okay, yes, she and I met and I checked into the terms of the contract which Thea provided for us. There is a permitting manager or somebody, a permitting person involved. And I've been communicating with him. So that's in addition to the window company. So the permitting guy explained to me that
And this is a person separate from the window company?
Yes, it is. And probably, I don't know how he came to be, but they probably use him for permitting. So anyway, what he explained to me was that Thea has signed a contract for windows, and the contract for all windows for that house is $20,000. Thea has put down a $500 deposit. So at this point, if she were, the windows have been made and they are sitting in a warehouse ready to be installed. If at this point she were to renege on the contract, that would cost her $11,000 in addition to the $500 that she has already paid as a deposit. So they also estimated, the window company also estimated what it would cost to put in wood windows as opposed to the windows that have been ordered. And they quoted a figure of 60,000. So I think, you know, this is why she's kind of in a situation here with the windows having been ordered. And as we spoke, you know, Thea has told us on the other occasions that she's been here, that in fact, there are a number of people who have put in vinyl windows and have not, and we know that's true. West Street is, we haven't had an application on West Street, so I just can't even remember when. So, you know, this is the situation we have here. So I think, Thea, is there anything you want to add to this? Those windows are sitting there waiting to be installed. So go ahead.
No, I just really appreciate the creativity that you have brought to this. I really am. It is a hardship. It's also not safe. And then I think you and I, Andrea, talked about having it's like there are broken windows that are boarded. So it's not also the heat. Our heating bill is, you know, you get those updates in the mail. And 37% higher than my neighbors. You know, they send you, National Grid sends you every once in a while. And so we're losing heat. It's really cold and drafty in the winter. I didn't anticipate this. I didn't realize it. And, you know, had I realized it, I wouldn't have done it, actually. You know, maybe I would have done a couple of windows at a time. But the house really needs windows. So I don't know what else to do. I mean, I think it's appropriate to say it is a hardship. I'm a single mom with two daughters in college. And so another 11,000 on top of that would pretty much put me like below my check to check that I'm living on now.
Yeah, and $11,000 and not getting anything for it would be unfortunate. So I think we've laid it out, unless whoever has questions. Mr. Chair.
Is there an you mentioned $20,000 contract, $500 down. So that feels like 15,000. I imagine the difference there is installation.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yes.
Yes, 20,000 installed.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you a copy of the contract, everyone. I think that was included with your packet.
I feel like it's just too bad that I'm going through the proper channels and my neighbors haven't. You know, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, but I know that there are vinyl replacement windows on the street, like most of the houses, maybe except for one. And if I didn't realize that it was a problem because I see them on my street too. And the company really didn't alert me to that either.
So here's a quick question. If there is somebody in charge of permitting, doesn't it fall on him if he didn't go through the proper channels to get the proper permits?
Well, I think that's where the problem came about. He couldn't get the permit. For the window company that I chose and signed the contract with, they couldn't get the permit because they put windows.
But Catherine, I think it's probably a pretty basic service that Window Nation is providing, and he's just going to the building department. He's not thinking of any of the other commissions that he may have to go through. I think, you know, they're probably offering it as kind of a courtesy just to help homeowners with the process.
Expedite it.
Yeah.
And they said that's included in the price to go to file an application and get a permit. And that's where I found it was taking a long time. So I contacted them and they said there were issues with the type of windows.
And so
They let
Catherine,
you sign,
go ahead.
they let you sign a contract that they couldn't get a permit for.
Yes.
And the other thing, my question is along Catherine's lines is he's a permit manager. He does this daily, probably all over the state or whatever. And he doesn't know about a historic district, or when he talked to the building permitting people, they didn't say have you been to the Historic District Commission first? They just let it go along. They took your money. They took a very small deposit. I assume that the fee, the $11,000 is stated in the contract. That's what you have to pay, the percentage of the total, or did they just make that up when you said, you know, it can't go forward?
Well, they never told me that I would have to. It was really Andrea's work that she figured this out. Like, I didn't even know that I would be responsible for $11,000. I didn't think there would be a problem in the first place. And then I haven't looked at the contract like recently, but because it makes me mad, but Andrea found this information for me and was very helpful in finding that out. I was never told that if it didn't work out, that I would have to pay $11,000.
I think, can I just clarify, the contract was already signed, and Thea had put in her $500 deposit before it even came into, was even entered into the building permitting software. So, you know, essentially the contract was signed, and as Thea said, this issue arose when I saw the permit application come through and it said vinyl windows. So that's when I notified this permitting guy, and that's where we began, because
And
You
that's
picked
when
it up,
Andrea
Andrea.
me too, and that's when you reached out to me through email and let me know, like, they don't usually approve this, that, you know, this is probably maybe not going to get approved because you can only do wood. And so we've been to several well, as you all know, you've been to the meetings too, but
yeah.
we've been to several meetings to try and work it out.
Have you
This
tried
this
to
is
bargain with the
terrible.
company and
What's
say,
that?
you know, have you tried to bargain with the company and say, you know, you no disclosure on your part, you should have told me this, you know, when I'm getting before the town agency is the first I heard of it, you know, and give them pushback of any kind?
Well, I have contacted the sales rep, and he doesn't seem to know anything. And so he says, like, I'm going to check with somebody else and let you know. This is because even before Andrea had, Carolyn, do you have a plug for a phone? Oh, sorry. I just don't want to lose you. My phone is we're at Children's Hospital, actually.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
we've been a little bit busy. But I'm just going to plug this in so I can keep it going. Where? Oh, right behind me. Okay. So I forgot what I was saying, but so where we were, I contacted Chuck Olson, who's the representative who came to the house, and he made the deal and I signed the contract. He's like, anything you need. And so I reached out to him. I didn't hear from anybody. And so I said, are the windows even ordered? And he said, I don't know. He's like, I'll look into that. And I never heard back. So I emailed him again, and he said, we're working with getting the permit. So, but he didn't answer my question. He never told me that I didn't even know until Andrea brought that to my attention that they were actually ordered, because I wouldn't think that they would order them and not get a permit first, right?
Right.
No, you know what, the salespeople, this is very typical. Not only sales for windows, but sales in general. They just go right ahead. They forge right ahead. If you've ever been in an organization and associated with the salespeople, you know, they'll say anything, and they make promises, and sometimes they can't be fulfilled. You know, they never talk to, you know, production or manufacturing or anything like that. They're all about the sales. And so this is not any different than any other situation that we've encountered with windows. And the fact that the guy didn't know, the sales rep, he just didn't care.
He didn't care, or he
didn't
could have
care to
found out
know.
for me, yeah.
And so it's, whatever you do to get the sale, that's fine.
So
So
on the
I
one
think-
hand, I feel like there's, if this had gone, if you didn't already own the windows, I think I would have wondered if maybe the front windows could have been made wood. And I'm wondering if there's any possibility that the company could do the front windows in wood for a nominal fee, something that is reasonable and foreseeably manageable.
I don't think this company deals with wood windows. They're a vinyl replacement.
Oh, gotcha.
Right,
Vinyl
so-
replacement. Okay.
And then Thea and Andrea asked what wood replacements would be, and it's 3 times the cost. So,
Right. For all the windows.
yeah, so
Asked, can I get clarification on that? Asked who?
I got that information from the permitting guy. And so I am not sure who he asked, very honestly. But that
But
was,
when I was looking, I did find that they were at least 3 times, maybe even 4 times. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
would love them, but
20
it's
20
just not
windows.
affordable.
Yeah, wood windows are running around 1,000, 1,200, depending on the size. So I could see 19 windows being, 20, 25,000. I have a hard time getting from 25 and then plus labor up to 60, but it's still, at least probably double the cost. I can agree with that. What's striking on the contract though, Andrew, is it's just interesting. They have a section in there that talks about HOA approval. And that's the responsibility. And if they don't get the approval, then, that's on them. So, it seems interesting that they would have an HOA section. Clearly they got burned on that in the past, but not with historic. So, and the other part then is I just wonder, how does it work? If they don't get a permit, they can't install your windows. If they can't install your windows, that's on them. Why are you responsible to pay anything?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just heard, I didn't even know that they were ordered. That's why I was inquiring, did you order them? And I never got an answer.
and we've seen this time and time again where people, will sign the contract, the windows get ordered. And just like with 15, they ordered them, the windows were delivered, and they've been manufactured. They can't be returned. So
And
that's-
they're installing them as we speak. Like they're installing windows like as we speak. But like for the past 3 days, there are people there like putting in new windows. So I don't know what kind of windows they are or what the process was.
At your home?
No, at 15 West, which is
15, yeah.
diagonal.
her brother is doing the work. But you're right, yes. And they've held back on the front. But they've paid for everything too.
What's that?
They've paid for everything too. It's the same situation.
Yeah. But
So
I mean,
how do we, I totally understand the hardship. It sounds like they're dirty dogs. And I guess my concern though is that, we're just sort of setting a precedent for West Street to do whatever the heck they want anywhere they want, I don't know.
well, the good thing
Seems
is
like
there's
West
only
Street is
one
doing
other
whatever
house.
they want.
There's only one other house on the street that, there's not many houses on the street, and there's only one other, my neighbor to my right, if you're facing my house, and her windows are original too.
So
But I mean, you're setting a precedent for anybody, I guess, right? Anybody in a historical district.
Tracy, Andrew, I guess I have a question is when making a decision on this application, are we making a decision on the application based on a hardship, based on the parameters of a hardship are we taking into consideration that they have already been ordered, or is that ancillary to our decision-making process?
Because otherwise, this structure sits with poorly functioning windows, and the entire structure would decay.
Right. It's that's what I'm saying with the precedent, or with a hardship, part of that is financial, and I believe that's something you would have reviewed with Andrea and possibly Tracy in more of a private setting. As the committee, we understand there might be a financial hardship. When a financial hardship is approved, it's approval for you specifically, not for the house. It doesn't in perpetuity live with the house.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. Are we just taking into your financial means and consideration, exclusive of that they've already been ordered, and you've got somebody that misrepresented, and we're taking into just context that, and our precedent is that you meet the needs of a financial hardship exclusive of the windows being ordered, so that we don't have precedent that if you order the windows and you're not going to get your money back, you can get approval in the future. Does that make sense, Andrea, Tracy?
Yeah, I think it's separate. 15 years from now, this house comes back with a different owner and they're like, well, I have vinyl windows. We're not going to approve vinyl windows.
Okay, that's what I wanted to. And then is
the trick, and Catherine hinted at it, is making sure everyone who lives in historic districts know not to order their windows in advance. And Andrea sends out emails occasionally to residents within historic districts. We've talked about how real estate agents should be disclaiming this, at showings, at sales, at closings, things like that. Every now and then something falls through the cracks. I don't think Thea was trying to do anything, shady here at all. She's the one who's come to the committee where her neighbor didn't, so it is unfortunate. It's all kind of happening in one cluster. I said that to Andrew when we were discussing this previously. And maybe, she said she sent letters out about a year ago, and I said maybe we need to send another postcard out or something to this district. But yeah, we're not setting a precedent of, hey, order your windows first and then ask for forgiveness later.
And also don't order them and put them in yourself, right?
Right,
I
yeah.
don't,
Truthfully, we have had 2 instances, and I just recently with 8 on West Street. I cannot think of another instance where this has occurred.
Meaning a concentrated.
Even people
set
just
of-
ordering windows and not being aware. I mean, this is, I think this is a unique situation, and
But wouldn't
I
it be
think
the
what
case,
Andrea
and
was-
to Dan's point, that if this application was before us and there had been no windows ordered yet, I think we would be discussing allowing these windows to be replaced for the simply functional purpose of these windows, protecting the structure, having it weather tight. And this is just reiterating Dan's point about the distinction between the ordering and contractual situation compared to the notion of a hardship allowance for replacing the windows.
My concern is that there's no burden on the company to assume responsibility when they were clearly wrong in how they did it. There was no disclosure, there was no follow-up, there was nothing. The contract, I didn't look at it, but there's no responsibility. So Thea is left either to pay them for something that we don't want to be on the street, but we all feel bad about it, but they should be brought to bear that you shouldn't have to pay for something that isn't permitted even. I don't know how you go about, well, I could think of a couple of ways of really putting pressure on the company to, do something about this, to mitigate the damage they have caused you.
I mean, they told me that they would be all finished in February.
I mean, it
And-
does feel like a deceptive practice.
Yeah,
Definitely, but I think separately from that, again, separating like Daniel's saying is Thea can't afford $60,000,
Yeah, I said you guys can go
Right.
home.
you know, and she has broken windows that we saw. I saw one on the side by the side door, you know, so. at
Yes,
least-
I guess that's my question. I mean, that's, I believe, something between Andrea and the applicant. And if, you know, if Andrea says that, you know, I think there's some, you know, it's not just taking your word. I think, isn't there a process, Andrea, you have a conversation and you look at financials and, you know, you give a recommendation to the committee that there's a hardship being met, or that our applicant meets a hardship, and that's on our committee to listen to that and then make judgment?
Yeah, I think the facts that were there, I think I presented everything I knew. So it's.
I also think, so if I were to pursue like going back on the company, that would be, you know, cost me a lawyer fee that I don't have too, right? I mean, I will indicate my frustration for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious what would happen if, you know, if we denied this and then they can't get a permit, what are they left doing? Saying, here's your windows for, you know, where you can't get a permit?
You can't put them in, but here they are. Yeah.
Yeah, because the permit is their responsibility and installation is part of their responsibility. So I just see that domino, like, you know, they have the clause in there, which is, you know, if you have an HOA, you know, we'll give you what you need to get approval and then tell us if you get approval or not. And that's the way the language reads. And I see this to be, you know, no different than an HOA, which is, you know, we're required to approve something. And if we don't get approval, you notify them and then they know not to make the windows. So it seems like they kind of skip that step and they've put everybody in a bind. And
I would also say, in addition, Daniel, that if you had come to us having not purchased these windows, I might have suggested rehabilitation and new storms, because we have all kinds of literature about how, you know, putting on a good storm window can, you know, equal or surpass, you know, a double pane thermopane window. So it does feel like they're bluffing to me too, Daniel. It just feels like they know if no one has stood up to them, it's worth considering.
yeah, I mean, but that puts us, you know, as members, a lot of us deal with this day to day, and, you know, we're on the committee for a reason because we have a background and expertise. We all can see this, but the applicant has been put in a position where she's not as familiar and educated as us, and now she's been put in a, you know, bad situation, and, you know, I would call borderline predatory tactics by Window Nation in taking advantage of her. You know, I think if this was my house, you know, having a background, I think I would, you know, feel comfortable taking the chance and then maybe coming back. But I don't think we can put the same expectation on every applicant that comes forward, unfortunately.
Yep. So I guess we're going to
So
vote.
if someone wants to make a motion to issue a certificate of hardship.
Sure, I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of hardship for 18 West Street. I don't know what the historic district is. Somebody can help me out.
Lincoln,
In the Lincoln Historic District, to replace 19 existing wood windows with vinyl replacement windows per the application dated
It's the 7th of June.
7th of June, thank you, 2022, for all 19 windows. That's all I do. Haven't done a hardship run, so I think that's it's everything.
that's it, that's it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Justin? Okay, Justin, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Dan, how do you vote?
Yeah,
Catherine?
I but hope Thea spreads the word on West Street.
And even
And others.
we asked Thea to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
I will.
Mary Ann,
No,
and it's an aye for me. So motion to issue a certificate of hardship, proof 4-1.
Okay, you're all set, Thea. So
Okay,
I can sign off on the building permit, okay?
okay,
And
okay,
so they can get started on the windows now.
okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for all
Well,
of your
thank you
hard
for
work. I
joining us. I'm
appreciate it.
sorry you had to join us from the hospital.
It's okay. We're okay. We're going home.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, second item, 197 North Street. This is a continuation from 519. Do we see the applicant?
We have Sean
Martha
Cutting here.
Carr,
I'm here,
Sean
guys.
Cutting. All right. You'll be presenting, Sean?
I will be, yes.
All right.
And let me just see if I can pull these up so that we can take a look. So
Thank you.
I just, refreshing everyone's memory, we are working on a project at 197 North Street. We are looking to do an exterior renovation, re-siding of the building with new cedar siding and trim, add new trim, replace the 7 vinyl windows with replacement or new wood windows, replace one door, add a door. And I think our conversation is based on the meeting last time was we got some feedback based on the design to make it simpler, more of an agricultural feel, change the siding from board and batten to the cedar that it is, keeping the height of the existing door opening, remove the 2 side windows and replace the proposed black windows with white. And I think, you know, through a lot of hard work with our homeowner, we have done a lot of what the commission has asked. Before I get into those plans, I just also want to remind the commission, here are some updated shots from North Street. This barn is 220 feet off of the sidewalk. So it is back pretty significantly. And there is no angle that this barn can be seen from the street, at least when the street is in full bloom. So just before we get into these plans, just wanted to remind the commission of that. I also just wanted to have a quick conversation before we get into this as of, again, here's the existing, and we're going to show the updated proposed. It's very important to the homeowner that the barn does not look like a guest house, which, you know, we have tried really hard to avoid. So we've changed the design pretty significantly. We are matching now the original cedar trim reveal. Again, let me zoom in here. This opening, it was requested that this opening was made the same as the opening which we've done. There is a cost to now make that door that much bigger. Again, we removed the 2 side windows. We changed the windows from a black exterior cladding to a white. The one part that the homeowner has had a pretty significant request on is we are requesting to raise this center window by 18 inches. It's currently sitting on the sill, and the clients have 2 young children and just don't feel, even with a tempered glass, that it's appropriate to have this gym area have a window sitting on the sill from a safety perspective. And so that essentially we're back to how the barn sits today, except with removing the vinyl windows and installing historically appropriate windows. Furthermore, we took the advice of the commission and matched the grill pattern that's on the front of the windows on the front of the house proper at 197 North. And again, we've kept the traditional trim details that are here on the house now, and have essentially brought back to a restoration of what is there today. And our hope is also that we're able to take some of We're not sure exactly when the barn was built, and we're not sure exactly when it was renovated, but at some point it was renovated not particularly well. And so our goal would be able to get this back to as authentic of a barn as it can be, again, without knowing when it was actually built. Any questions that I can answer?
I think that the changes you've made, removing the smaller windows, and raising up the central window appears to all to be appropriate in my mind. It still maintains that original look, the agricultural look, and appreciate the efforts you've gone to.
Thank you.
Right, the new designs do have responded to our comments in the previous meeting.
I wonder, the panel doors that slide back and forth. I realized that original barn was turned into a garage at some point with a non-authentic kind of style door, but I wonder if those sliding doors could be made to look a little bit more varnish, a little more agricultural, with maybe some slatted panel doors with cross pieces or something like that, because this looks a little more housey to me, but that would be my only comment.
What we were doing we were actually matching the paneling that is on this paneling on the existing structure now. So on the front here, we were actually just taking this original, which we again don't know if it's original or not, but we were taking this this 2-box theme here to match on the barn doors themselves.
Does that door, is that an electric door or is that a sliding door, or?
It's neither. It's a piece of plywood that's mounted to a non-operable door that's plastered behind it.
Okay, so yeah, it's probably just a replica, a wannabe replica or something. I
Yeah.
would say.
Anyone else? Mary Ann, Justin?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay.
Don, I was just curious, did you do any updated renderings?
We didn't. The renderings didn't go over so well last time. We don't have any updated renderings. There's also a cost to those guys. So
That's fine. I figured that was the case, but I
yeah.
can't hurt to ask.
See, that's a smart architect. Don't overpresent.
Yep.
Exactly. Again, as we're still really excited about, obviously we looked at some pretty out there ideas, and I want to reiterate that we've probably looked at 10 different options for the client. We've had to gently remind the homeowner who's new to town that the main goal of this was really to get the functionality of the inside. And at the end of the day, they want it to have a barn feel, and I want to continue to reiterate that. And so if we may agree to disagree on some of the details of the barn as an architecture firm, but that's a story for other time. We wanted to listen to what the comments and feedback were, and this is where we landed.
All right, does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 197 North Street in the Lincoln Historic District for an exterior and interior renovation of existing barn to include residing the building with new painted cedar siding, Marvin simulated divided light windows to replace 7 existing windows and replacing 1 door and adding 6 windows per the plans dated June 8th, 2022.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Justin. Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mary Ann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. Motion passes to issue a certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you, Sean. Good night.
Okay, Next on the agenda, 86 Levitt Street. Reminder that Catherine has recused herself on this one. This was an informal discussion from last meeting. Because of our comments, there's no updated information, so the plans that you got in the last packet are applicable for today.
Yes, thank you
Amanda.
for not making me do 10 more copies. I appreciated that. Last time I was here, I asked if there was any feedback, any suggestions, and there was a lovely silence on the other end. So I guess I would just say that nothing has changed since last month. I did have one question, and that is, do I need to go, if we decide to, right now on the drawings that you have in front of you, the bay window is the current bay window. And so I guess my question was, if we do decide to replace that window with just the exact same window, but flat instead of bay, is that something I would have to come back to the team with if I used the same windows that have been approved on the rest of the house? Look at Al was running out of ink when he sent you these.
Yeah, apparently. Well, that's one of the questions I have also. There was not actually, unless I missed it, a cut sheet for what window is being used.
I did submit a
It's
fact sheet.
Anderson, Dan, it's Anderson.
Okay. Okay.
It's, it was the last page of our previous packet.
And it was this, we had come to the board of maybe 6 years ago to replace all of our windows, and we'll be using the same windows that you approved for that project.
400 series, Dan, double hung.
I don't know why I lost that page, but okay.
It would be matching, the addition would match the exact roofing, siding, paint color, and windows that had been on the rest of the house.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, the 400, aren't those the clad ones that we looked at previously? Those are the same ones that were ordered for 15 West Street? Going off of memory though.
I'm looking it up.
I think they may be, and I can't remember the circumstances, Amanda, when we approved that. I do know that I'd have to look.
1950s house.
Yeah, because it was a 1950s house, and I think that you had
No, yeah, it's
Ye-
sorry. You can get the 400s in a clad option, but they do make it in an all wood window with a pine exterior, I believe. I think.
So Amanda, what is
Yeah.
what is being installed, do you know?
The one that's being installed is the all clad hung. I believe it's the vinyl, whatever was approved for the last one. I just went to Hingham Lumber and said it will be the same exact one I ordered last time. And he said, okay, we've still got those.
Yeah, the 400. Yeah, it's a vinyl exterior clad.
And I think the reason that you approved it when we replaced all of our windows when we moved in was because of the house being a 1950s home.
And I also, if I remember correctly, there were also, may have been aluminum or vinyl windows that were in there already.
Yes, there were.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
So we
entitles
would be
you to do
matching.
that.
Yeah. So we would try to match everything that was in the existing home would be matched as closely as possible with the potential addition.
So it's a white vinyl clad, just to
Yep.
be clear. Everyone. Any comments on whether the lower window, if it went to a change from a bay to a flat window? What would it have, casements on each side, or?
I don't know what that means, but yes, if that's what you needed.
Or double hung. Casement's like a crank out or double, would any of it be operable? Are you just looking at that as a cost savings?
It would just be decorative. I mean, right now they do open, but we've never opened them in all the years we've been here. So it would not be a whatever you just said, a crank out. It would just be,
Casement, a crank.
yeah.
So they'd be a fixed window?
They would be able to be opened the way that all the other windows.
Okay, a double
now.
hung then,
Yeah.
like Tracy said.
And we
So is
don't have a
that-
drawing that shows that. Is that right? I'm looking through the drawings. We had
No, the
last-
drawings show a bay window. The existing
It's
house
current.
has a bay window.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm fine with going through this process to change the window in the future. I was just curious if that was something that could be approved now versus later, but I don't mind going through the process again if that's what's required.
is that
Um,
portion, is that wing on the first floor? Is that part of the original house or was that an addition?
We didn't put it on and the owner before us didn't put it on. So it was an addition to the house. The house started off as a ranch in the 1950s, and then it was brought up to a colonial with the bump out. And then that happened before 25 years ago, because I have owned it for 10 and the owner before me had owned it for almost 15 and they didn't do that renovation. So it's been there for a long time.
So the question is, I would say technically, the bay window is not part of the application. So
Okay,
we'd have to ask you to come back. That's,
And with
Only the
a
second floor.
drawing that is a
reflects
proposed
that.
design. Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
So we're just
Any-
looking at the second story addition that's set back a couple feet.
You got it.
Okay. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I'll say that second story addition looks appropriate from the lightly inked drawings I see.
Very lightly inked. Well, thank you. We were looking for the least ostentatious, most simple design we could possibly come up with.
Al's old school. He's still using pencils.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chair, are you
Light
ready for a motion?
pencil.
All right. So, there's
Mike?
no other questions. Does someone want to make a motion, or Dan, did you have a comment?
No, I was just gonna ask if you're ready for a motion or,
Yeah.
yep. So I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 86 Levitt Street in the Hingham Center Local Historic District for a second floor addition per the plans submitted with the application with no date, but application of 3/11/2022. Existing or siding to match existing, windows to match existing, and colors to be determined and approved by Andrea.
Is there a second?
Can I ask, we asking for the applicant to return with updated drawings?
No,
Showing
that,
No, only if they
proposed
change the
window.
bay. Right now, the bay window's not part of the application, so we're not asking
Okay.
for any changes on that second floor addition. She's
All right,
just,
then I'll second.
okay, second. Mary Ann, how do you vote?
I,
Justin,
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
It's an aye for me, so motion passes to issue a certificate of
you.
appropriateness.
much appreciated.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Andrea, you have time to kill. It's been a long time. You're on mute. You're on mute, Andrea.
How much time do we have to kill?
7,
8
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Oh, well, I
You could
guess
do
I
a whole
better,
song and dance.
yes, or go to my fun facts. So if you can hold on a minute, I'll get my fun facts and we'll do those.
So I do see the applicants are on. I just want to be clear. Your agenda time is 7:30, so technically we can't start your hearing until 7:30 in case there are any abutters.
So, yes, I do have fun facts to impart. Hold on just a minute. Okay, let's see. I'm going to the current month, June. Let's see if there's anything exciting happening. Oh, yes. Ready? On June the 26th, the United States Supreme Court ruled in 2015 that the fundamental right to marriage is guaranteed to same-sex couples under the 14th Amendment. So there's that. Also, on June the 17th, the Statue of Liberty, dismantled, arrives in New York Harbor in 1885. It was shipped in 350 individual pieces and packed in more than 200 cases. Who knew? I didn't. Did you?
Actually, I knew that from visiting the Statue of Liberty
please.
Museum. It's true. And there's
Oh,
a fascinating
Justin.
museum there showing how they transcribed a small model to, I think, 2 different step-ups in size with very methodical process of hanging strings and transcribing the measurements of a smaller plaster model into successively bigger models, and forms over which the copper sheathing was hammered individually were individually constructed. And it's a fascinating process to see. If you ever visit New York and head to the Statue of Liberty, the museum there is really, there's a lot of stuff. It's fascinating to see how you go about building a Statue of Liberty if you happen to want to build it.
Thank you, Justin.
Do you
That
know who
was
did?
re-
You know
that
who
was
designed the?
enlightening.
Do you know who designed the framework for it?
Eiffel,
Gustav. Yeah.
Gustav Eiffel. Yeah.
Gustav.
Did you know that the Eiffel Tower was only going to be a temporary exhibit for the World's Fair?
I had heard that.
These are fun facts.
They are fun facts. We now
could
know
also-
all the.
We could save some time at the end, and we could approve meeting minutes from 5:19 if we were feeling extra. Got 4 more minutes.
You want to do that?
Sure.
Wait. Here's one. On August the 31st, in 1897, Thomas Edison patented the kinetograph, an early movie camera. So that was in 1897. Thank you very much. Early movie camera.
Well, here's a Ben Franklin fact, a guy born in Boston. So Theodore Franklin named the batteries. Why? Because when Franklin was experimenting with electricity, the only way to store a charge was in Leyden jars, a glass jar that has
Oh, yes.
metal, a metal coating on it. And to get enough charge to do interesting experiments, he would have to collect a lot of them, gang them all together in a battery of Leyden jars, using the
Wow.
terminology usually reserved for, guns. So that's how batteries got named. Ben Franklin, who's invented everything.
The guy that ran the patent office in 1899 said that his job was about to be obsolete because everything that was patentable had been patented.
Oh my. Wow, no foresight.
Yeah, Charles.
You guys should have a fun fact, what slam?
Bake off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slam,
A fact off,
a
yes.
fact off.
And I
That
think,
sounds a little iffy.
I know. So how much time do we have? I still have another one.
2 more minutes.
All right, let me just read this. In 1954, construction began for the Ford Motor Company's Willow Run plant in Ypsilanti, Michigan. During World War II, the plant used Ford's mass production technology to build its B-24 bomber planes.
Highly recommend the Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, if anybody's ever in Detroit with time to kill.
Great
Yes,
museum.
it is. Okay,
1 more minute.
okay, well, let's see what I can come up with.
There's a storage shed and field behind the Willow Run Airport that stores all of the stone and monuments from the University of Michigan, Andrea.
I did not know that.
There's a field out there that is easily accessible if you know where you're going, and the old hospital, all the marble and granite from the old hospital are out there.
No kidding. I had no idea.
Yeah, so if you want to go for a nice walk and you're up in Michigan, you let me know. I'll give you the GPS coordinates.
Okay, great. Swell. Okay. All right, do you know this, Justin? The official dedication ceremony of the Statue of Liberty was held in what year? It was
I
October the
don't know.
28th of what year?
Don't know.
1886. Okay, so there we have it.
Hope everybody on the line enjoyed that.
Thank you. We're all well versed.
Okay. Next on the agenda, 650 Main Street. Move existing sunroom, replace with 2-story addition.
Hello, Kristen.
Hi, I just want to say that the description in the agenda was different than what I submitted.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's not the 2-story anymore. That was the original plan.
Yeah.
So it's just replacing the existing, and it says something about the patio, which isn't being touched at all. It's just replacing the existing sunroom with a mudroom.
So I was in error.
Yes, that's fine. I just wanted to be clear for everyone.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Hello, Jonathan.
How you doing?
Good.
All right. So, yeah, so like Kristen just mentioned, we reduced the scope of the project quite considerably. We eliminated the 2-story element. And so I actually, Andrea, I think it may be best for you to share the screen because I'm not in that position. If you want to, do you have the drawings to be able to?
I think Miss Tracy can do that for us.
Okay.
The brilliant Miss Tracy.
Don't know if anybody's.
She's working on it.
All right. So there's an existing shed structure off the back. We're basically going to be removing that and replacing it in a very, very similar massing of that, similar shed structure, changing the fenestration around a little bit. Basically it's going to be a new structure, but it's virtually the same shape. And then the other component, so that's one component, and then the other component is adding a shed dormer onto the south side of the house. And the reasons for doing that is very, very, very important. Very hard to get anything up the stairs in this house. The second floor is extremely tight. So adding that shed dormer is going to add valuable space or access also for the second floor.
So what are we looking at, Jonathan? Can you?
That's currently the north elevation right there.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is on the left side there, and you can see the delineation between new construction and existing. We're adding that little shed structure on there. Now there is an existing structure virtually identical in shape to that. The difference between the two structures with the new versus the existing is the actual fenestration. So we're adding the existing one, which actually is in the package there. If you go back to D, it's on there somewhere, D3. Keep on going.
Yeah, keep going.
That's D1, that's D2, there's D3. So that's the existing structure off to the left there that's shown dashed. Like I said,
Okay.
it's virtually the same type of structure. The reason why we're knocking it down, it doesn't have sufficient foundations. The frame is very insufficient as well. It's not insulated. So we're basically replacing that structure in kind, just with different, doors and windows. So if you go back to the drawing of the same north elevation there, that would be drawing A3, you'll see that that's what's going on.
That's A4. We
And
need
that's fine.
A3.
You can stay in A4 because we're basically,
Okay.
A3 is fine. So that's the same structure there. It's just a shed structure off the back of the house, entry door, Simpson wood entry door, and a Marvin wood window. Good. And then just so I can explain the rest of it, we'll go to the next drawing, which is A4. So in addition to this rear structure that we're replacing, we're adding that shed dormer. So in the lower elevation there, that's the south-facing elevation. We're adding a shed dormer. And that shed dormer is stepped in on either side, 18 inches from the wall below, the gable wall at the one end and the implied roof line on the other side. And then it's also stepped in board another 18 inches to allow for the roof structure to bypass, so it looks subordinate. And that's basically the nature of the project. Wood windows, Marvin wood windows. The rear elevation, obviously that one on the back of the house is very hard to view, if at all, from a public way. The south elevation, again, it is farther back, but that probably would be able to be viewed. But most likely some of the elements of the side structure what we're replacing would be able to be viewed as well. And that's kind of it.
Hey, Jonathan, do you have a view of the front of the house with the proposed addition shed dormer?
No, I don't. I think most of
I
it's.
don't think you'd see it when
Yeah,
it's
you can
direct
see-
front elevation, Catherine. I think you'd only see it, you'd see that dormer viewer coming down Main Street slightly. But from the
Right.
front of the house, I don't think you'd see it.
You would see a tiny little triangle if you were at the right angle.
Yeah.
But from street level, I think you would not see it at all. From directly on, you would see it if you were on the south of the house.
Yeah, whatever that little step up is there, 18 inches or 2 feet, which the existing roof's already doing, you'd see that tiny little bit right on this drawing where the dash dot line is, right at the top.
Correct, yeah, you might see a little tiny triangle there.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Yes, I can go in a little depth of the materials. The materials, obviously, what's called out in the drawings is going to match the existing, cedar shingle siding, asphalt roof, basically to match the existing.
There's no questions. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Could an abutter speak?
Oh, sure, sorry. My fault.
No problem. So this is Margaret Stack at 654 Main Street, directly south of the building. I'm here with my husband, Brian. We share the same concerns. We're very pleased that the huge back addition has been eliminated, which is great. We're still concerned about the dormer on top. We have two equal concerns. One is to maintain the historical integrity of the street. Main Street, as you know, is a very popular street, and as you drive by, you might say, "Oh, I'll only see it for a second or two." But as everybody walks by with their friends and their dogs, the side of this house is very, very visible, just as the side of our house is, because these houses, as you probably realize, are very, very, very close to the street. So this will be a big change historically to, the 1830s location that was originally the post office and general store. So we're kind of changing the nature of that in the first place. And so I totally agree based on the original drawings of the dormer. There's only a small bit that's visible when you're looking directly at the house. But when you're walking along the street, you see it for quite a bit of time. It's very, very visible from the street itself. And so we think that will change the integrity. And what from the south side used to look like a one-story in the back with a roof now will look very much more like a two-story building. The other concern we have is that our views are materially changed. That second story addition is feet from our second story. So when we all, bought our properties was a more private location. We're basically going to be staring at each other's beds now when this is built, because it is very much there's basically our driveway between Kristen's house and our house. So basically now she's going to be staring into our bedroom windows and we're going to be staring into her bedroom windows. So it's almost like instead of a suburban feel, it's very much like an urban feel with this additional dormer. So our views are going to be very different. And, just a year ago, our views were hurt by the large two-story addition or new garage that she put in that blocks some of our side views, and this will block our views even more. So we're thrilled that she's not going to put on the huge back addition, but we are still concerned about this.
I just have one comment with the two-story portion that was mentioned. The north elevation on this house, that rear addition or the rear construction, the existing, is a two-story construction. And that north elevation is a two-story facade. The south elevation currently is not, and the dormer allows for a little bit, but the design of the dormer stepping it back still gives enough roof line, which is what the historic district has generally allowed in these types of construction projects.
Of course, on the north side, there's a good deal of distance between the two homes. On the south side, we are literally on top of each other.
No, the dormer
Ms.
on
Stack, say again your address.
654 Main Street.
654. Yeah.
the pushback on that, the dormer on the south side is actually stepped back in 18 inches. So it's not even as far as the lower level.
But the lower level is not where people need privacy in their bedrooms. These windows will basically be staring right into our bedroom windows too, feet away.
Jonathan, this back leg where this dormer would be attached, you know, built on top of, is that part of the historic structure, or was that an addition?
I believe the back part of this structure was an addition at some point. I don't know the entire history of this house, but I believe the front portion was the old part. I think there was a small appendage, but not the two-story piece that currently exists from what I understand.
I guess I would like to make a comment. I feel that this dormer is in proportion to the home. It is modest in scope and much smaller than the original proposed addition. The windows are in scale and proportion. It all looks really appropriate in my mind. I think that if there is a dormer on the neighbor's property that looks in this direction, then I think this neighbor is entitled, this applicant is entitled to also have a dormer. And I think it suits the home and will make it more functional and livable for the next person.
Yeah, I asked Jonathan the question because I assume that most of that back wing was an addition, and then it looked like there was another addition to it right here where it's pointing existing structure to create that shed. I bet that was probably a gable addition at first, and then they popped up on the north side, and now they're looking to create the dormer on the south side. So
I'd also say the sight lines are not decreased because the roof already exists. So there isn't any additional massing or restrictions on sight lines. It just happens to be a dormer.
I think I'd like to say, theoretically, as we look at this, and it all makes very good sense as a drawing and you know, the scale and everything else. However, I think we should take into consideration, one, the streetscape, the feel of the neighborhood as stated by the abutter. I think, you know, they live there, they get the local culture, the local color of the community. And I think that should influence our decision about what's appropriate and what isn't. And, you know, my thing about going to the heart of why the bylaw was created to begin with. And I think we should bear that in mind. We don't really have a way of seeing that looking just at drawings on paper. You know, they look fine to me on paper, but I think the comments of the abutter should be weighed as we make a decision.
Well, perhaps a site visit then would be indicated.
Perhaps, yeah.
Are there any other abutters? Dan,
Kristen, just
comments?
Yeah, you know, a site visit never hurts, but I think for something like this, you know, we certainly can drive by on our own and take a look at it. I think the site visits to me are a lot more useful when we're talking about something that needs to be staked out or story pulled and, you know, trying to understand things. You know, I drive by this quite a bit to drop my daughter off at school. So I've looked at it a few times. I mean, the house portion that the dormer additions on is, you know, approximately 55 feet off of the street. So I do think that, you know, it is in the appropriate location, and you know, the scale and the feel is appropriate. And, you know, I think, you know, changing the character is, you know, while it does change the character of the feel, it's not done in an inappropriate manner. There's not a, you know, an historic, you know, slate roof that's coming out. So I think it's, you know, overall an appropriate way to make this building functional.
I think I agree. It's pretty modest modifications. Not sure a site visit is necessary. Are there any other comments or questions? Does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 650 Main Street and Glad Tidings to remove an existing porch and rebuild on the east elevation a one-story addition matching the existing footprint with cedar trim boards to match existing profiles, Marvin wood simulated divided light windows, colors to match existing, and a south elevation new shed dormer on the second floor per the plans dated 23 December 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Catherine? All right, Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mary Ann, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. Motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness. It's granted.
Thank you very much.
All right. Right. I think we might need to wait a minute here before we move on. I see the Mellons are here.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For all the soccer fans, Foxborough Gillette gets to host the World Cup in 2026 for some of the events.
Wow.
All
I have a
right.
quick question.
Go ahead.
What is the status on the train, the firehouse and all the repairs? I think that got voted in the last town meeting, Andrea. Oh,
You're
you're
on
on
mute,
mute.
Andrea.
Thank you. Are you talking about the brand new
No, the old one on Main Street.
central fire?
Yep, Central Fire.
Nothing so far. I did get a call from the town engineer, and there was some discussion about possibly putting solar panels and on the front. So I said, well, perhaps the back would be a better location for solar panels. So we'll see. He himself, questioned whether that would be effective there. So, but nothing really. Good question.
All right. Anything else, Catherine, or?
Nope, that was
did I
it.
answer your question? Okay.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda, 182 North Street. This project has a little bit of backstory. I think Andrea may fill us in a little bit as well. This is the house that a year and a half ago was driven into on North Street and has been repaired. The applicant is looking to install bollards in the public right of way to protect from future incidents. Because it's in a public right of way, they've already been in this process for several months, dealing with DPW and other agencies in town. Andrea and the applicant can fill us in some more, but there's been a lot of work done so far to get to this point. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that one other thing I'd like to bring up, and Mr. and Mrs. Mellen can fill us in on the why these are going to be needed. But we have worked with the town engineer and with the DPW superintendent, and to look at everything. They have asked the Mellons to have a survey done on the front and a number of other things. So they've kind of jumped through the hoops that were required. And now they are here tonight looking for approval for the bollards. I will say that their house, their lovely house, has a preservation restriction on it. and which is held by Historic New England. And they, a representative from Historic New England met on site with the town engineer and the DPW superintendent and myself and Mr. and Mrs. Mellen. And she indicated, because of course, if you know, if something has a preservation restriction on it, you can't do anything without prior approval. And so it was determined that the bollards need to be located in that right of way between, it's a narrow strip, probably about 2 feet, would you say, of grass between the road and the sidewalk. And it can't be located nearer to the house because the house, of course, is very close to the sidewalk. And there was a concern on the part of the representative from Historic New England that trying to dig those bollards in there and the depth at which they would have to go could possibly, most likely, compromise the foundation. So I'm saying all this because I just want to point out that they have just done everything that they've been asked to do. They recently did receive funds from the Greenbush Historic Preservation Trust to the tune of, I think, 30,000 something, which will help, but will not cover the entire cost. I do know that the town is also considering putting perhaps the same bollards, I don't know, in front of the Square Cafe, because we know that the Square Cafe has also suffered from car running into it. And now they have the cement barriers there now, but something else will be going there eventually. So anyway, Nancy and Frank, could you please give us a little history? I think you the materials that you sent out were great, but if you could just give us a little history.
Andrea, thank you. I mean, we'll probably both talk a little bit, but I just have to say thank you to both of you. You've basically given 80% of our introduction already.
Oh, okay, well, sorry.
And no, that's a thank you. I appreciate the fact that you've been able to save us a few words here. But no, that's wonderful.
Would you like that? Would you like your PowerPoint up at this point?
Well, what I was thinking is that maybe I could just go, I've got it's a 2.5 minute just sort of run through, and then maybe we could put those 5 or 6 pictures up, Andrea. After
okay.
That. I think maybe that'd be the quickest way to get all you folks through it. But I mean, and again, to sort of go back in terms of the house, as I'm sure you all know, our house, the Samuel Lincoln Cottage, is dated to around 1650, dated by the Hingham Historical Society, built by an ancestor of Abraham Lincoln, and it was a historic New England house for approximately 30 years when they still had direct ownership of the house. In the almost 34 years we've lived here, there have been 5 significant scary incidents of cars that have actually driven off the road and onto our property. 3 of those hit telephone poles, which fortunately stopped them from hitting our house or our neighbor's house. 1 drove through a garden, and 2 of those have actually hit our house. We had our house hit about 20 plus years ago in a much less severe fashion, and then the one that happened last year. The last year event was just under a year. We're coming up on the anniversary, July 15th. That took place at 6:30 in the morning when a 19-year-old driving an SUV headed toward the square at approximately 30 miles an hour, based on the eyewitness that was behind her, didn't turn for the curve, didn't apply the brakes, and drove right over the sidewalk and directly into the left portion of the house. The car destroyed 18 feet of exterior wall, kicked the sidewall out of square, broke through the floor, and you'll see a picture or 2. I think there's actually ones in the package, but you'll see those again. Broke through the floor, damaged, totally vaporized some of our furniture, some of the antiques and the audio video system, and a number of other things. Ironically, or at least maybe not ironically as much as fortunately, we are normally in that room at 6:30 in the morning at the time of the day that happened. Normally we're sitting there reading the paper and I'm turning on the stereo, which was vaporized. If we had been in the room or a pedestrian had been walking by, and there are many of those, we wouldn't be here at this point. And it took about 8 months until late March this year, about 3 months ago, before the house was livable again. I think our main point of an emotional bent is that we decided we simply just can't live with the constant fear that we have of further accidents. We have a hard time sleeping. The cars whiz by. We think about it every time we're in the room. I've never used the word stress and trauma in my own self before, but seems as though that's hit us a little bit.
More than a little bit.
More than a little bit. We've had meetings of the traffic committee, as you folks alluded to discuss options. We asked about speed bumps. We asked about raised crosswalks. Those didn't seem to really fly with engineering at the DPW or the traffic committee. We've asked about bike lanes, and we think those are being considered, but up to this point, there have been no physical changes at all to the street. Bollards has been the favorite option by all parties. Again, back to Andrea's comment, we've met with representatives from the engineering department, the DPW, Historic Commission, Historic New England, who maintains exterior restrictions on the home. And all of those parties have ultimately agreed to this approach for the reasons that Andrea and we've already mentioned. We think the installation of bollards, beyond being necessary on that strip between the curb and the street, will not only protect us, but it'll protect the pedestrians who pass by. We have a constant flow of walkers, joggers, people with children and strollers, people with dogs, people with strollers and dogs, kids walking to and from the bus stops, because there's a couple on each side of us, are constantly on that street. The bollards that we've chosen are steel tested to stop a 2,340 pound, I love doing this, a 2,340 pound vehicle traveling at 40 miles an hour in less than 4 feet, and they were created for storefronts and pedestrian safety. So, I mean, I guess, you know, in summary, we feel we've been effective stewards of the Samuel Lincoln Cottage. We've worked with the Historical Society on a number of things. We've tried to do a lot for the neighborhood, and we're certainly hoping that you folks will sort of help us with maintain and preserve both us, the pedestrians, and the house. So.
5 accidents, 5 car accidents, some of them just happen to not impact the home.
Correct. 5 within we've been here a little under 34 years, and there have been 5 incidents in front of our house that have scared the daylights out of us.
And the 3 that didn't hit the house was because they hit telephone poles instead.
Right.
And if they had missed the telephone poles, they would have hit the house.
There is something about that strange curve coming toward our house from outside of town that people just cannot seem to deal with. And we don't have any other, we feel we don't have any other choice but to do something like this. So.
If I can suggest at this point, I know we have some interested parties here, Mr. Flaherty and Dr. Gallo, probably because of the proximity of all of this to the Benjamin Lincoln House, I would guess.
Exactly.
So I'm sure they have comments. I'm wondering if we might just get through the PowerPoint first, Mr.
That'd be
Chairman.
great. There's only
It's
about
just pictures.
there's only 5 or 6 or so pictures. It would only take a couple minutes.
Yeah, so Miss Tracy, can you set that up for us? Ha.
Oh, okay. Thought the color ones were going to be out there.
I did too. Maybe.
That's okay.
Yeah, you know what? I just only sent it to Tracy this afternoon, so she may not have seen it.
Okay.
God bless her.
The top picture shows our house the afternoon of the accident after the car had been pulled out of the house and a few supporting beams had been put in. But that's the 18 feet of wall that disappeared with the car smashing through it. The picture at the bottom shows the car. That is what we saw when we walked into the room at 6:30 in the morning with the car sitting in the room. You can't see it having fallen through the floor, but the back tires are through the floor. And sadly, can't really see them, but there's furniture, antiques, everything sort of strewn, thrown around the room.
Yeah. And the top picture you can see there, that's the hell strip that the bollards will be going in.
There is one other picture that
Yeah,
should
is
show
there?
that better.
Okay.
Yes, yes, if they're all there.
All right.
This picture
Oh, yeah.
actually was taken at the completion stage, probably in January, February this year, showing the
The
wall
outside.
as it used to be and as it now is.
So from the at the end of the house, you can see two small granite posts. She took out the two granite posts at the front door, but that's where it is just too close and will undermine the foundation. That's why they can't put it there.
The
The
lower,
bollards.
okay.
And
The
the
lower
lower.
picture here is actually shows the front of the house and actually where the bollards will be located. On the right-hand side of the picture, you can see the roughly 2-foot strip between the curb and the sidewalk. That's where we're proposing the bollards go.
And they start around where those granite post is and go and stop before the driveway.
Right.
Next.
I think the next picture down that's actually
Yeah.
the engineering plan. I know that's probably a little lighter than you'd like to see
Yeah,
it too.
you can see the circles where it along the street.
Oh, sure.
Where the
Yeah.
bollards will be.
And these are all in your package.
Package.
Yeah, and there are 14 of them and they're placed 4 feet apart.
Is that the end of the pictures?
No, there should be ones on
There
the
should be.
bollards.
There is one gonna, yeah, there, the bollard picture should be there. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the cast iron cover on the crash proof bollard.
Yeah, and the bollards in the prior page, so.
And
Who
you can
determined
see
the-
it goes down dramatically.
Who determined the spacing of the bollards?
The bollard company. They said if you have it more than 4 feet, then small cars could, if you have them more than 4 feet apart, then the small car can go through. I know motorcycles will be able to go through, but
No, but they had mandated
Yeah.
that they could be no more than 4 feet
Yeah.
apart.
And was there any suggestion of a chain or anything that would link those in between?
well,
Well, that, you want to do that one? That,
go ahead.
we had, there hadn't been any discussion with the bollard company, but there had been discussion with our friends from the DPW and the engineering department. And DPW, when they were here, because we did have meetings out on the street, did not want us, maybe I should back up. One of their concerns was if people parked next to the curb, could they get out of their car? We had some comments to make about people parking in front of the house anyway, but it got to the point that we really determined that there really was no wise reason to actually put chains between them. If they were no chains between them, then we could, people could theoretically get out of their cars.
Yeah.
Not that they park here that much, but.
But the DPW and the traffic committee was thinking of putting permanent parking spaces in front of our houses. Which isn't going over well, but anyway.
How was it determined? I went to the company's website. They make a lot of aesthetic covers. How was our 7585 on the next page determined? I assume, it was previously discussed with, the other stakeholders that you've worked with before this. So I'm just curious, how did we land on that one?
The Historic New England had sent me pictures of ones that they thought would be appropriate. And this is as close as I could get. And affordable. I mean, we had quotes that went up to $100,000 for 14 Bollards.
I feel like I've seen similar bollards in historic Newport and other historic campuses and all kinds of areas. It seems like a very classic style, and
even Fenway Park.
Yep. How could you do better than that?
I would also say, Andrea, don't we have, doesn't safety kind of override any kind of needed vote from us?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we have to take into account. And so I think in this circumstance, it's pretty evident that,
So,
you know.
Mr. Flaherty or Dr. Gallo, sorry, any comments or?
Well, we're both here to represent the Historic Society support for the Mellons Bollard project. We think it's totally appropriate. They're wonderful abutters across the street from the Benjamin Lincoln House, and we understand the number of times this house has been jeopardized by accidents like this. And also being a neighbor on North Street, I can speak myself to the traffic, the velocity of traffic, the speed. It's unsettling and needs some long-term solutions, which we don't have at hand here. But this is a great solution. I think Historic New England is really supportive of it and stands behind this, and we stand behind it as an organization. Dr. Gallo, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I would echo Kevin's comments about, I think we all need to step up when situations occur in our different neighborhoods and for individuals, and at least offer the kind of support we can offer to the idea. I think that most of us who attended the traffic committee meetings earlier this year and last fall are still hopeful that the plan that was approved, a warrant item in the town meeting, the annual town meeting this year, just a couple of months ago, will eventually go through. And that is only, a lot of things were discussed by the traffic committee to mitigate speed in that area. And as you approach the square, where every morning there's serious risk not only to property, but to young lives, with people parking to get their children out of the car and walk them to the side entrance, the Lincoln Street entrance to St. Paul's School. It's hectic, even though a policeman is there and the vehicles are still there coming, taking that route. So we're still hopeful that the traffic mitigation will help the area. And the immediate thing that, most immediate thing that needs to happen is that the cost of the signage that would be required to change the speed from 30 miles an hour in what has been labeled a business district to 25 miles an hour. And as you all know, doesn't matter much about putting up signs if they aren't enforced. And so that becomes another whole layer of concerns that people have about who would do that and what would happen and so on. But it is at least a statement, and this is another statement that says people live here. This is a house and people live here, and lives are worth a lot, and so is their property. So I would agree about they've been very good neighbors to us as part of the Historical Society. And we want to do everything we can to make sure they have a welcoming of this idea that they have. Wish it could be more.
All right, thank you. Are there any other abutters? I don't believe so. I also just want to highlight, this is something that doesn't directly impact the structure at all. This is completely reversible. You know, in the future, if a bike lane or a wider zone between traffic and the home comes along, whether it's a wider landscape zone or a bike lane or something like that, this is something that completely reversible to the historic structure.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Very good point.
Let's make a motion.
All right.
Make a
Catherine,
motion.
are you
I'm
in?
gonna do it.
All right.
I'd like
Give
to
Daniel a
make
break.
Exactly. Make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 182 North Street for 14 Bollards between the sidewalk and the curb, as indicated in the attached materials dated in the Lincoln Historic District, dated,
22 April.
thank you. I'm not sure why I can't see that, with that date. Anything else I need to add?
Is there a second?
Second,
1 second. All right, Justin, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Mary Ann, how do you vote?
aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Daniel, how do you vote?
Aye.
That's an aye for me. Motion passes to issue a certificate. of
Thank you.
appropriateness.
Great, thank folks.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you.
I just
very,
want to
very
add one
much.
other thing here that as of now, it appears that this matter will be discussed at the the select board meeting on the 28th. Monday, I believe it's Monday or Tuesday, the 28th.
Tuesday.
What is it?
Yeah.
Tuesday. Okay.
Tuesday, yeah.
So far, I believe it's on the agenda, so we should all show our support if we can.
Keep
I
our
don't know if that's
fingers-
going to be an in-person meeting or it probably will be at town hall.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Right.
All right,
Folks, thank you all very, very much. We appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Last item on the agenda, 667 Main Street. I see Mr. Rogers are here.
And Mr. Bradley is
Bradley?
the, Mr. Bradley, do you want to make the introduction and go through the project, or? There he is.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Bradley. I go by Jay. I'm an architect and principal owner of J. Bradley Architects here in Melrose, Mass. And I'm representing Megan and Pete Rogers, who reside at 667 Main Street. They currently, I don't know if we should, if I want to share my screen for the actual plans, or
That would be fine if you'd like to do that. Aha.
I'll start from everyone can see my screen okay?
Yes.
I'll start with the general site plan. I'll go through the plans one by one chronologically so we can see it. This is 67 Main Street. It's approximately a 5.51 acre lot. This was the original structure of a William G. Cushing structure built in 1835. It's approximately 3,100 square foot home. And the Rogers are a recent home purchaser of the home, and they're looking to do an addition off the side, the left side of the home here. We chose the left side of the home because there's an existing non-historical one-story addition that was built, I believe, roughly in the 1980s or 90s. So Rogers can confirm that for me. It is non-historical. It's pretty bad in terms of its overall construction right now. It doesn't look like it has a proper foundation. The the building, the single-story structure is laced with a series of sliding doors, double 5-foot sliding doors that are really pretty much an eyesore to the house. And we're looking to develop a 2-story addition, one to reconstruct the first floor sun porch, and 2 to provide a nursery on the 2nd floor for their growing family. You can see from the existing site plan, this single story is on the left side. We chose this primarily because the driveway for the access to the house is on the right side of the house and doesn't provide any expansion on the right side. There's a new single-story addition that was built I believe in the 1990s. And then canopy added recently to that as well. So there's no real placement to provide additional rooms off the rear of the structure. So taking this first floor, reconstructing that and moving up the 2nd floor made sense both from an interior perspective and as an exterior addition. It's currently shielded by a series of multiple pines on the left side. So the structure is shielded from the street. Sorry about that. You can see here in the plans, the existing plans, this is the original footprint of the house with this rear single-story bay. There's a front entry, dining room, and living room to the left. There's an existing door that leads to this single-story sun porch. We'd like to remove this existing window that's internal to the house and replace that with a new door that's accessible from the living space with double doors out to the rear access. We'd also like to raise the structure. This is set down one stair from the existing main body of the house. It needs to have a proper foundation that's elevated above grade because right now it sits on grade. There's a masonry brick floor within that space that is not really suitable for today's standards of construction. You can see here in this, this is the sun porch. We're replacing all of the sliding glass doors with fixed and or awning type windows in the same proportion as the exterior facade first floor windows. And then on the 2nd floor, you can see that we are, right now they have an existing 3 bedrooms on this floor. The Rogers have 4 children currently, ages from 0 to 7. So they are really squeezed in terms of being able to provide an additional bedroom and or nursery for their 4th child. They do have an additional bedroom up in the attic that is somewhat of a safety concern, both from the perspective that the children are pretty young and they're not comfortable with having them up on the attic space, and also because the stairwell has tread heights that are roughly around 9 inches and makes it really difficult and non-secure for access. Here we'll be providing double hung windows throughout here. The proportion of those will change on the facade. We're not trying to make them consistent with the existing historic window types. We don't feel like this addition should be in the same vein as or in kind as the existing structure. We think that it should be a standalone structure that is dated for today's architecture and that, but still fits within the context of the existing footprint and massing of the home. You can see in the existing facade that we have a shed roof here with the double sliding, oversized sliding doors, and then the original federal style home that has remained intact. We don't believe that the windows are actually historic. We have a photograph from 1967 that shows these windows as a 2/1, and that they were apparently replaced in 1967 with the 12/12 double hung windows. I believe the casing around those windows is part of the original structure, but I can't completely confirm that. This is the rear of the structure. You can see that there's been multiple additions attached that are non-consistent with the historical nature of the house. This rear vestibule, a rear canopy, and then the subsequent structure, a room that was added to the back portion of the house back in the 90s. Again, here is the existing sun porch with the 3 sliding doors, and then the original federal structure here. We think that this rear portion of the structure was an addition, and that line was the existing home. And again, this rear canopy structure was added later on. Here you can see a perspective from the rear looking towards the sun porch. We'll be maintaining that double door. It'll be a French door to provide access to the rear yard. And this is a perspective of the existing structure from Main Street. And you can see that it was set back from the corner coins and up against the existing masonry facade, extending down to the existing single-story bay room.
So, Jay, what's keeping you from pushing the addition back further? Is it the door swing on the first floor with the fireplace, or because I see you're increasing it from 10 inches existing to 16 inches proposed. I'm just a little concerned how close it is to the front elevation. It seems like the existing sunroom gives you maybe 2 inches between the coins and the siding. You know, you push it back another 6 inches, you're going to gain, you know, maybe you're up to 8 inches of siding between the coins and that. But what's keeping you from pushing this back a little further?
You mean to the left, if I'm looking at this elevation?
Yeah.
I think it's the window on the second floor plan or door. I can push that back a little bit further if you'd like.
It looked like you were tighter on the first floor, actually. That's why I'm asking.
I don't think so. I don't think we're tighter on the first floor. It's a structure that's going to run continuously up.
Because I mean, at first I was thinking you were trying to use the existing foundation of that sunroom, but then you said it's kind of slab on grade and it's a step down, so you're building a proper foundation for a 2-story structure. So I feel like if we can get a little bit more separation from the front of the elevation, it would be better. But
I can actually do that. In fact, it would be.
Hey, can I step in for one quick second?
Sure.
I'm Megan Rogers and this is Pete. I don't think we have a lot of playroom to push it back because of where our septic is located. So I don't know if, Jay, on the site plan, is our septic on there?
It is, but I think, Megan, what they're talking about is this front facade is moving this wall, just this wall, back a little bit
Not the
further.
back wall as well. So
Yeah.
making
Are you
it-
asking for both walls to be pushed back?
I'm more concerned with the front wall,
Yeah.
you know.
So I think we have the ability to move that a little bit further back and expose that existing brick, if that's what your concern is.
Yeah.
Tracy?
I
Yeah.
agree with Tracy. I think that would make a big difference, letting the front breathe a little bit.
Yeah, so I did expose some of the brick, but I can actually, and it's not going to hurt us. Maybe the proportions of the windows would change a bit, and the spacing of the mullions would change by doing that. But I don't think it's something we can't overcome in terms of.
Is there existing brick there on the first floor? Like, is there brick inside the sunroom?
That's a brick facade on the interior of the sunroom. That's correct.
Okay, so when you remove that sunroom, you don't think there's any brick repair or anything? You think?
That's a good question. I don't know how they attached the existing structure to that. I assume that they did something to attach the structure to the existing and the roof as well. There's probably a flashing detail that's been engaged into the masonry, so that would remain.
Jay, could you confirm for me, when we did do these drawings, I believe we talked about this issue, and did we step it back a little bit more than how it currently is with the first
Yeah,
floor?
We
for
did.
the
yeah.
drawings, it's about 6 inches.
That's
And I was just
correct.
wondering what the constraint was, because it's still tight. And our concern is that historic Federalist structure and trying to separate it from any addition. So the more separation we can have, the better from a historic perspective.
Mhm. That was the intent, was to slide that over so we can expose that brick and not have the two structures meet at the coins. I think that would be a sort of a tough detail to marry into. I'd rather marry into the masonry. So moving that over shouldn't be a problem.
I have a couple of other comments, if now is a good time. I guess one of my concerns when I look at the home is that normally I would appreciate the scale of the windows being the same as the main body of the house, excuse me, but somehow I feel like it's not working in this case. I feel like it's competing with the main body of the house. My eye is actually drawn to the new addition. And I'm wondering if there have been any other studies for window configurations for both the first floor and the second floor and the roof as well, because it's reading very bulky to me and not harmonious. And I guess I wonder if there's any other options that you guys discussed.
Yeah, I share those sentiments, Catherine. I'll piggyback off of that because a lot of my comments are similar. The panels between the windows on the between the first and second floor, the size and the boxiness, it just doesn't seem to be, I don't know, the right configuration. I understand the need for it, but I just feel like it's not speaking to the original house very well, and it just feels like a real appendage.
Yeah, the scale is off. Something's wrong.
Yeah, we actually showed a roof on top of this as a hip roof. I didn't want to do a gable roof because then the mass became really heavy at that point, and it really sort of took away from the federal roof style. So we changed that to a flat roof, and I thought carrying the line of the existing roof so that I wasn't dropping a gutter line below the existing facade was important. We could drop that down, but I think it would have to be significant so that there's a nice break between the cornice and fascia moldings. But then I think it feels that, well, it's going to be the ceiling height's going to be significantly lower in that area of the house, and make it not very functional. I really did try not to make the facade appear as though it was in the federal style by carrying the clapboard around onto the addition. I wanted to really make the new addition its own entity. So in terms of scale and massing of the windows, they are similar in width, and the lower section is in terms of width and height. But I wanted to have a departure of the second floor so that it did really emphasize that this isn't trying to be a federal style addition, that it is its own entity and its own period of architecture, but still allowing it to be its own and having the federal style building, the original structure, sit on its own as well. I mean, I could show that the windows drop down to the second floor height. I don't think you'd like it though. I felt like it was too much windows, and it really was overexposed, to be frank.
I appreciate the use of different materials. The paneling seems appropriate. But there's something very boxy and out of scale and out of proportion. And I wonder if lowering the gutter line, creating a hip roof, you could cathedral it on the inside, allowing for some more height in that room. But yeah, that is not, I don't see the main historic home singing with this addition.
So you'd like to see a hip roof on that?
I'd like to see the option of perhaps a hip roof with the lowered gutter line, and maybe one central larger window in the lower level. Maybe experiment with a few different window scale, maybe 3 smaller windows so it looks more sun porchy. But I feel like it's really competing with the main historic home and not being second to.
Real quick, are there any abutters or neighbors? I don't think so. Any other comments? Dan, Marianne, Justin?
Yeah, my only follow-up is, to my comment earlier, is that I don't know what the right answer is. I'm not going to say that there's only one right answer, but I think that my feeling is that some modifications need to be made so that the massing feels a little more slender, and it feels less prominent. I feel like it's the focal point as Catherine said, your eyes are really drawn there, and I think you guys have started down a path of complimenting, but I just think it needs a little tweaking.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think it really detracts from the federal period of the house, from the age of the house. I don't know. I just don't think it doesn't look right. In plain layman's terms, it doesn't look right to me, and it isn't complementary to the original structure.
I would also suggest, I think part of the problem is it feels out of balance. Since you do have that addition on the right side of the house, there almost needs to be some mass on the left because it's just out of balance. And so I think maybe adding a shallow pitched hip or partial or 3/4 hip, something like that might help.
Okay.
And I have nothing to add to the comments of the other commissioners. The one impression when I first looked at it, it had a bit of an institutional feel.
It's interesting. I was actually trying to accentuate the verticality of it, changing it from sort of this punched opening, and that was intentional. If I'm hearing the commission, do I need to move towards the federal style more so, or?
No, I mean, I like what you've done with the paneling and things like that to try to differentiate it. I think the fact that it's so close to the front elevation, which was my original comment, is kind of not giving the original house enough room to breathe. And I don't know if pushing it back another 6 inches or not is enough to expose more of that brick, expose more of that corner. I think Catherine's been, is interested in maybe breaking that eave line, that cornice line. And, she's even open to studying roof line so that, hey, maybe you'd lose 6 or 8 inches at the eave line, at the sill height, but then you can create a cathedral ceiling or a coffered ceiling or something to gain that height back inside the space. But visually from the outside, it's dropped a little bit and it differentiates from the main point of the house. On the side elevation, the left elevation here, number 2, is 5 the right number. On the front elevation is 2 the right number. I completely understand wanting that first floor to feel like a sunroom and have as much glazing as possible. You've removed one window, but express that with panelized on the second floor where the nursery is, where a young child's trying to sleep. But I think those are some of the comments that I'm hearing.
Okay.
Yeah,
we did have a hip roof on this, and it was engaging into the chimney and
yeah, that's the first thing I see is the chimney and how you get around that, and
that felt like it was more of more of a wedge into the existing structure that I thought would be really a deterrent for all of you. And so we did drop the roof, or made it a flat roof. I can look at dropping that roof line and trying to hip onto that. I think we might have the same issue, but I'm happy to pull that together for view.
What is the ceiling height on that second floor? Do you know? Do you know what your head height is?
I think it's about 8'2".
8'2". So for code, you can only drop it a couple inches anyway. So
yeah, and then I have a cornice line that's sort of right in that,
right,
like in the middle of the
right,
which makes it really difficult. Well, when you pull those details together, it just becomes very difficult. I think it'll look.
Yes. I would also just say, when you're going through your process of reducing the mass and the feeling of the mass and scale of it would be my most important. And I understand the consideration with the roof line. I don't know what to say on that, but there needs to be some toying with the windows and the scale.
Okay.
Yeah, the roof's a challenge, and it could end up being that the flat roof is kind of the answer. But I appreciate the Revit and the scaling back the existing structure, but in a way, it's making the new structure kind of pop out a little bit. So
I agree, and I think that, unfortunately, the Revit software puts all new construction in a darker pen ink
Yeah.
so that it actually makes it even more apparent to you because it's
Right.
Unfortunately a higher density, but let me,
But I think that drawing number 5 there's, is kind of the issue. It's really crowding that corner a little bit.
mhm.
And I don't know if there's some way to break it at the cornice line or something, if there's some interesting detail that can happen there.
Yeah, that could be interesting. What's your thoughts in terms of the overall size or height of those windows? I was thinking I did bring them down, the sill height to the same height, but then it just seemed like this ribbon of windows, like a commercial building. So breaking that horizontal plane was intentional.
No, I understand that. I think it may have been Catherine, not to put words in her mouth, she can speak up. Someone definitely made a comment of why is that sill height different?
Mhm.
I understood it. What is the sill height in the existing house? How far is that off the ground?
I think that's about 19 inches.
So it's pretty low, especially in a nursery.
Yeah.
I just had it occur to me that I wonder if also banking the windows together, those 2 windows on the porch, banking them together rather than separating them with the paneling you have, might contribute to a narrowing effect in that space visually. And that's something I'd like to see.
I can do that.
So I think it's close. I think it's just trying to look for architectural ways to kind of minimize the scale and separate a little bit from the existing home.
Okay. Is it okay to present multiple options? Because I can do design options here in Revit that allow me.
No, I actually think, speak up if I'm incorrect. I think we don't mind seeing 2 or 3 options. We don't want to see 6 or 8 options, but.
Okay. Yeah, I would have prepped myself and put multiple, showed the prior versions. I don't want to try to do that right now. 'Cause who knows what I'll find in the drawing.
So I think we'll just continue this to the next meeting, which I think is July 28th.
Okay.
I think in July, it's not the 3rd week, it's going to be the 4th week because I'm actually out the 3rd week. So that makes up time for your 4th of July holiday.
That's great. That's actually my holiday. That's my vacation week, but I'll make sure I'm there. Okay. Any other comments?
Any other comments? All right. Okay. So I think we'll see you in July.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate everyone's time and energy tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
There's a lot of architects in Melrose.
Oh, yeah. Take care, everyone.
Thank
All
you.
right, good night.
All right. Andrea, did you distribute meeting dates? We have to.
No, I didn't. I didn't because I realized that I did have the wrong date. So I'll just hand them out, or I'll send them out tomorrow.
Okay, but do we have to vote on July 28th?
I'm sorry. Oh, I don't think so. I think unless you want to.
No. I thought in previous years we had to approve the schedule.
Yeah,
And I don't
thought,
think the website goes beyond June.
no, it doesn't now because I didn't put the new
Okay.
the new
So,
ones up.
Is it July 21st or July 28th that we're?
So I'm not here the 21st, so I've asked for it to be moved to the 28th.
28th.
Well, I had it on the 14th. Okay.
Andrew,
Okay.
just as a heads up, I won't be there the 28th.
Well, you know, summer's a tough, I know.
I didn't coordinate my vacation with Tracy, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Well, oh, there's just one other piece of information that I thought might interest you all. We received, well, not we, but it was the planning board received a, well, it looks like a subdivision plan for the, and Miss Tracy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, looks somewhat like a subdivision plan for the Parish house at, and
Sorry.
the person who purchased it really represented that he was going to have, that's all he wanted was a very large single-family home, and that was all he wanted to do. And so, and he represented that, and they quizzed him, knowing he was a developer. They, the Old Ship Building Committee did question him and at length, but he, again, he represented this is a single-family home. So Tracy, I think, Miss Tracy, they brought it in day before yesterday, I think. He stopped by with us with a, it's an A&R, but it shows 5 separate lots.
So I looked at that lot for my own personal interest, and I don't believe it's possible to do an A&R because there's no, you don't have the frontage to do an A&R.
The way he's got it, Tracy, Miss Tracy, do you have anything you want to add? Because I'm just, you know more about this than I do.
What's an
What
A&R?
is an A&R?
Approval not required per the zoning bylaws.
It's basically saying that approval wouldn't be required under the subdivision control law because it's not a subdivision. But no, Andrea, I think you gave a good summary. I think it's it looks like it's about 5 lots. And you're correct that if it didn't have the frontage, that would be an issue. But the planning board's going to be meeting on it. I believe it'll be on the 28th, assuming that all the members can meet that day.
So you may want to tune in for that. Thank you, Tracy.
Can you send out a little email on that, a little reminder? 28th?
Yeah, sure. Be glad to.
28th of July?
June.
Oh.
So
Yeah, the
yeah.
planning
Very
board only
soon.
has, the planning board only has 21 days to act on an A&R plan, which is why it's happening so quickly after it was submitted.
So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Tracy, is that plan already posted on the planning board, do you know?
I don't believe it was. I'm out tomorrow, so it'll probably be posted with the holiday on Tuesday. It'll probably be posted.
All right.
So there we have it. So thank you. Thanks, Miss Tracy. Thought you'd be interested in that. Okay. Can we talk about the minutes?
Yes.
One typo, missing N in the word motion.
It's missing what?
An N down at, it's nothing. I was looking,
That's
trying to
very
see if there
nitpicky.
was anything wrong. That was the only thing I could find wrong.
Which is it the last one?
It's, I think the first one, let me go. I'll
Oh, all right.
It's,
We'll
I mean, it's such a minor thing. It is on page 5, the first appearance of the all caps segment with motion, MOTIO, Commissioner Clark, you know.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost.
No, that's fine. No,
All
you're
right.
right. So actually, that was probably me that did that. So
Well, maybe we're out of ends. I mean, this document has a lot of ends.
Yes, true. And
Yeah.
maybe there were just too many.
Too many ends.
I'm definitely out of ends.
Good.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
But I'll make a motion to approve the Historic District Commission meeting minutes for the meeting of May 19th, 2022.
Second,
We have to do a roll call. Catherine, how do you vote?
aye.
Mary Ann?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Justin?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. Minutes approved. One other quick item of business. I think we'll probably hold off till July because Carol's not here. But I don't know if everyone was copied on an email that Carol had sent with some like business items.
No, she just sent it to you and I.
Yeah, but we do need to discuss a kind of business meeting outside of the normal hearings. I think it's probably going to be difficult to do in the summer, but maybe we can get it early in September. It doesn't have to be on a Thursday. It can be any day, but maybe we try to get that on the schedule in early September once everyone's back in school. And
Is it worth sending Carol's list out to see if there's any additional?
I think there's definitely additional items.
Yeah, yeah.
And that way we can form an agenda and be.
How does the open meeting law work in the discussion about an agenda and such an email?
Well, if you have something that you would like to add, then just send it to me,
Okay.
period. And then I'll just add it. And then I'll send out one big thing. Because the whole point is that there should be no discussion among members via email or any other way.
So but perhaps you'll send out what we've received so far, and then
Yes.
we had contributions, we'd send them to you.
Yes, and then I'll make another document with
Very
all of
good.
it on. You see my pal here? This is,
Yes, that's a lot of cuteness.
well, yeah, sort of. This is Charlie. This is Charlie. He is, I inherited Charlie when my mother passed away because she said, you have to take Charlie because your sister is a cat person. So I had to promise, and he's been with us for a number of years now and kind of they tolerate each other. We have a yellow lab who's Harry Winston, the yellow lab, 70 pounds, and this guy is like 5.5. So anyway.
Like a chew toy.
He is, yes. He is. Yeah.
Tracy, if you don't mind, I just wanted to, I misspoke. I just checked that A&R plan is available to be reviewed. It's on the planning board's pending application page. So if anyone wanted to look at that.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. That's great. And you'll definitely want to check that out. Okay.
He's already looking it up. Yeah, I can see it in his pupils.
Yeah.
You know me well, Tracy.
So the select board is they're doing interviews for for people who are interested in joining committees and boards. And so I think we may have a gentleman who did apply, so we may have, and he is an architect, so hopefully he'll remain interested. I talked to him for a while and he just kind of fell into our lap, so there we go.
Now Tracy just lit up.
I mean, when I joined, I don't know how long I've been on the committee, but I think it's about 3 years or so now, maybe a little more than 3 years. That was like the first time in a long time they had a full 10-person committee.
That's right.
That lasted like weeks.
No.
Now we're down to, now we're down to 6.
Yes, but hopefully soon to be 7. And, all right, we're good,
All right.
but we have
So-
very good members.
All right. So next meeting, July 28th. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded. And I just looked at the plan. Everybody else should go look at it. It's interesting.
Yes, that's a good word.
Yes.
Good night, everybody. Did we all
already left.
vote?
He left, but don't we have to vote on it?
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
vote. Catherine,
Yes.
Marianne,
Yes.
Justin,
Aye.
that's an aye for me. Meeting adjourned.